Graph the solution set to 10 is greater than 4x plus 2, which is greater than or equal to negative 2, and express it in interval notation. Again, we need to isolate x before we can do any graphing. To do that, we need to subtract 2 from all three parts of this inequality. When we subtract 2, that gives us 8 is greater than 4x, which is greater than or equal to negative 4. And then to get x alone, we need to divide by 4. This gives us 4 is greater than x, which is greater than or equal to negative 1. Now, in this situation, it might seem a little bit weird to some of you. It depends on how you're thinking about these, how you're paying attention to them. But the thing that's different here is that everything is kind of in the opposite order. For the other ones, we had less than symbols, or less than or equal to. So the smallest thing was on the left, the middle thing was in the middle, and the largest thing is on the right. Here, it's kind of backwards. The largest thing is on the left, because 4 is larger than x, and that's bigger than or equal to negative 1. So the smallest thing is on the right. You can leave it just like this when you're figuring out what the graph looks like. We know that our solutions are going to be between negative 1 and 4, so we can shade between negative 1 and 4. We know that negative 1 is a solution, so we can put a solid circle there, a closed circle. We know that 4 is not a solution, so we can put an open circle here. So this is absolutely fine, but sometimes students want to rearrange the things so that we go from smallest to largest. It looks a little bit nicer. So if you want to, you can switch the order of all three parts in the inequality. You could write the negative 1 on the left, the x in the middle, and the 4 on the right. But if you do that, because you're switching the sides, you do have to flip the inequality signs, but you also have to make sure that they go in the right place. So between the 4 and the x, we have a greater than sign. If we flip everything around, it's going to turn into a less than sign between the x and the 4. So that would become a less than. And then here we've got a greater than or equal to between the x and the negative 1. And so that would change into a less than or equal to. And so these are both acceptable ways to write these inequalities. Either one works, and I really don't mind if you just leave it like this. But I did want to kind of point this out, because if we decide to switch the sides of a double inequality, we've got to be really careful, not only that we're flipping each of these signs, but that the signs go between the numbers and the variables that they're supposed to go between. Regardless of that long tangent that I've just gone on, we do still need to write this in interval notation. It's going to be bracket negative 1, comma 4, parenthesis. And as I'm writing this, I think this is even a better reason why we might want to switch things around, because then the negative 1 is on the left and the 4 is on the right, so everything matches up a little bit better. This second one looks a bit nicer, but it's not required by any means, because even without that, we can figure out what the graph and the interval notation are. So regardless of how you write the inequality, this ends up being our final answer.